Hi, grade threes. All right, fantastic. We are ready for our second online lesson today. Today, we are going to be looking at lesson number 7 of module 6 for our math. So make sure you have your learn book, your fluency book, and your math journal ready. All right, I'm going to get my screen all set up. Here we are. And I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger up in the corner here so you can all see me. All right, so today we are doing lesson 7 and our learning objective today says, I can represent measurement data with line plots. So let's first look at what that means. What does represent mean? Represent is when we show something. So we're going to be using our RDW strategies, read, draw, write strategies to show some data. And we're going to be showing measurement data. Remember, that tells us how much of something or how many things. And we are using our line plots. We learned about line plots yesterday. That's when we have a number line and we put little X's above each number to show how many things were that long. So if we had 1 inch and we had 3 things that were 1 inch long, how many X's would we put above the number 1? We'd put 3 X's up there. All right, so now we've gone over our learning objective. I'm going to look at what we need. Today, we will need our math journals. We will need our fluency book open to page 91 and ready to go. We will need our learn books open to page 233 and ready to go. And for homework, we will need our succeed pages 157, 158, 159, and 160. All right, if you need to, you can pause this video now to make sure you have all of these books open and ready. And when you are prepared and ready to go like a good Creighton scholar, you can push play and we'll carry on with our video. All right, welcome back, grade threes. We're going to start off, as always, with our fluency practice. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we are going to count by 7s up to 70. So we need our math hands ready. And let's get started. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70. All right, let's count backwards, starting at our 70, and we're going to go all the way down to 0. 70, 63, 56, 49, 42, 35, 28, 21, 14, 7, 0. All right, let's do it one more time. See if you can do it without me counting with you. I'm just going to show you my fingers so you know how many groups of 7 show each of those numbers. If you want, you can read the numbers off the screen when I show you the right number of groups with my fingers. So, good work. All right, let's go backwards, starting at 70. Well done, grade threes. All right, our first question about our 7 times table is, what is 4 times 7? That's 4 groups of 7. If you need to, you can look at our skip counting. This is why we always write out our skip counting. And we count up 4 groups. So I'm going to draw here. We've got group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. 4 groups of 7 is 28. All right, now we're going to say that as a multiplication sentence. So we say 4 times 7 equals 28. There we go. All right, let's head to our next slide. Here we're going to carry on with our counting. We've already done that. And we're going to go, what is 6 times 7? Remember, if you want to, you can count 6 groups of 7. I'm going to use this like a number line now. So, let me see if I can make this a bit more exciting. Let's use a nice bright color. So we start with 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups. 6 groups of 7 is 42. So let's say that as a multiplication equation. 6 times 7 equals 42. All right, let's move on to our next slide. Now we're looking for 8 groups of 7. Remember, what number should always be before my first number? It's not actually a number, it's a 0. So let's start with our 0. Does 0 ever count as a group? No, it does not. So we'll start with 0 as no groups, and we're going to count 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups, 7 groups, 8 groups of 7 is 56. So say 8 times 7 equals 56. I love using number lines. All right. Let's do our next one. And now we're going to be doing division. Now remember, division is just the opposite of multiplication. So for multiplication, if we counted forwards on our number line, going this way, for division, we're going to be counting going backwards. And what number should we be starting our counting with? We're going to start at 21. So let's find 21. Here it is. And I'm going to count going backwards to see how many groups of 7 there are. Of course, before I do anything else, I'm going to put in my 0. And now I'm ready to go. Let's count them together. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. So 21 divided by 7 is 3. And let's say that as a division sentence. 21 divided by 7 equals 3. Well done. All right, let's try our next one, 35. I'm going to start at 35. First, I'm going to put my 0 though. And I'm going to count my groups backwards. So 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, all the way back. 35 divided by 7 is 5 because we did 5 groups of 7 backwards to get to 0 from 35. So 35 divided by 7 equals 5. All right, let's look at our next one. 49 divided by 7. I'm going to let you go ahead and try to solve that by yourself. How many groups of 7 is 49? All right, if you said 7 groups of 7, well done, you got it right. Because if we start at our 49 and we count backwards, we go 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, oopsie, 3 groups, oopsie. Not sure what that was. 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups. And what did I need to put at the beginning? Say it with me, a 0. And there's my last 7th group. So 49 divided by 7 is 7. Remember, we can always just turn these into multiplication equations to make things a little bit easier for ourselves. All right, we've got one more to do. I'm going to let you go ahead and do this one by yourself. And I'm going to ask that you also write the multiplication equation after you've done your division equation. So we're doing division and multiplication. All right, off you go. While you're doing that, I'm going to get ready for my multiplication equation. All right, so 63 divided by 7 is how many groups? Say it with me. 9. Well done, everybody. 9 groups of 7 is 63. So 63 divided by 7 is 9. How could I turn that into a multiplication equation? Remember, when we multiply, we always put the number of groups first. Are we doing 9 groups or 7 groups? Let's go ahead and have a quick look here. Oopsie. Let's count them up. So we start at 63 and we're going to go, oopsie, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. We're going to go, no, not working there. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups, 7 groups, 8 groups, and if I've got my little 0 here in the corner, oops, why can't I write anymore? If I've got my little 0 there, that's 9 groups. All right, so I'm gonna turn this into my multiplication equation. And I'm going to say 9 groups times 7, because 7 is the size of the group, equals 63. If you got that right, give yourselves a pat on the back. That is fantastic. All right, let's do our next page. It says, let's skip count up by 6s to find our answer. So we've got how many groups of 6? Let's have a look. What is our first number? Our first number is 7, and that tells us our number of groups. So we've got 7 groups of 6. So let's skip count together. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. Well done, everybody. So 7 times 6 equals 42. I'm going to give you a challenge. Try to turn that into a division equation. We'd start with our 42. We'd say 42 divided by 6, because there are 6 groups, divided by 7, I'm sorry, because there are 7 groups, by 6, equals 6, because we're counting by our 6s. All right, let's go to our next page. 7 times 6. That's just what we did. They want us now, though, to skip count going down. So let's start with our 60. And I'm going to show my 10 fingers to show 60. I'm counting by 6s because 10 groups of 6 is 60. So we've got our 60 and we're going to count down until we reach 42 because we know 7 groups, 7 fingers of 6 is 42. So let's get ready. Oops. 60, 54, 48, 42. And I've still got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fingers left. So 7 times 6 is 42. And we counted backwards to find that one. Well done. All right. Now you're going to please turn to page 91 in your Fluency books. And we are going to get 3 minutes. If you have a timer, give yourselves 3 minutes. If you don't have a timer, just go ahead, see if you can do all the problems on this page. And when you're done, you can push play and we're going to be checking our work. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing you finish. Off you go, sprint. All right, math superstars, here we go. We're going to be checking our fluency answers. Please say the multiplication equation with me as you check your work. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 5 is 30. Another one. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 8 is 40. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 6 is 36. And 6 times 8 is 48. All right, well done, grade 3s. Fantastic work on doing your fluency page. Next, we're going to need to make sure that we have our application problem in our learn books ready. Here we go. It is on page 233, and I'm going to read it to you. Then you can pause the video to go through how to do it, and then we're going to get started checking it. After that, we're going to be doing our concept development, and then you'll be able to do your problem sets, and you'll be doing your exit tickets when you meet with your teachers in small video groups on Zoom. All right, so our application problem says, the chart shows the length of straws measured in Mr. Hand's class. Straw lengths in inches. And they give us a lot of numbers. Each number here shows us how long the length of a straw is in inches. A, how many straws were measured? Explain how you know. Remember, when we explain, we need to make sure we're always writing a sentence. B, what is the smallest measurement on the chart? So what is the smallest number that they give us on our chart here? What is the greatest number? What is the biggest number on our chart here? All right, so grade 3s, you can pause the video here and you can go ahead and get started doing your application problem. When you're finished, just push play and we'll carry on to check our work. Good luck, you're gonna be fantastic. Remember to use your wonderful brains and make sure you double check everything you're doing. All right, welcome back, grade 3s. We're ready to go through our application problem. It says, how many straws were measured? Explain how you know. Well, each number is a straw. So what I can do is I can either count up all the numbers, or there are a lot of numbers here. An easier way is this grid looks like something we used to make when we did multiplication. Can anyone remember what it looks like? It looks like an array. So I'm going to use this as an array to multiply to find out how many numbers there are altogether. I always start with my number on the side. That shows me the number of groups. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 groups going down the side. And my numbers going across the top show me the size of the groups. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers in each group. Let's turn that into a multiplication equation and say 4 times 5 equals 20. There are 20 boxes. To double check, I'm going to go and I'm going to count very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Check. There are 20 straws. How did I know? You can say each number is a straw. So we counted them up. Fantastic. All right, letter B. What is the smallest measurement on the chart? Now, this one was a little bit trickier. There are 20 numbers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of all the different numbers that they show me. So once they've shown me one number, I'm going to find any other numbers that are the same number in my list, and I'm going to cross them out so I don't count them again. So let's start off with my 3. I'm going to write 3 because that's the number they gave me. And I'm going to look for any other 3s in my list. Nope, no 3s. I see 3s with some fractions, but that means that's a whole different length, isn't it? There's another 3. I'm going to cross it out so I don't double count it. All right, I've done my 3s. Now I've got 4 as my next number. I'm going to go through and I'm going to find how many, I'm going to see if there are any 4s on my list. Oh, there's another 4. And there's another 4, so I've got a 4 there. All right, so I've done my 4s. Now 4.5, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to see all my 4. Oh, there's another 4.5. There's another 4.5. There's another 4.5. All right, so 4.5. I'm going to cross that out. Next is 2 3/4. Let's see, are there any more? Nope, doesn't look like it. So 2 3/4 is the next number. Next is 3 3/4. There's another one. Nope. So 3 3/4. I'm going to make sure I cross them out once I've counted them. Let's see, the next number that hasn't been crossed out here is 3 1/4. So let's go through, see how many more there are. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, there it is. Yep, and yep, so 3 1/4. All right, next number is 4 3/4. Let's see. Nope. Nope, so 4 3/4. The next number we haven't counted yet is 4 1/4. There's another one down here, so 4 1/4. The next number is 5. There are 2 5s here. And our last number that we haven't crossed out is 3.5. Now, grade 3s, it is super important to make a list like this of all the numbers in your table, because this shows you what numbers they are counting. It doesn't show us multiples or duplicates. It doesn't show us more than one of the same number, but it shows us the numbers themselves. So now I've got my list of numbers, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put them in order from the smallest number to the biggest number. What's the smallest number? I'm going to look at the big numbers. Those are our whole numbers. So I'm going to find the smallest one. 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 3. 2 is the smallest whole number. So I'm going to put 2, and it comes with a fraction 2 3/4. So now I've used that. I'm going to cross it out there. Let's find the next smallest whole number. After 2 comes 3. So I'm going to find 3. There's a 3 by itself. And I see 3s with fractions, but that means they're bigger than just the whole number of 3. So there's 3 is the next smallest number. Then I'm going to look for another whole number with the smallest fraction number. 3 3/4. 3 1/4. That seems pretty small. And 3 1/2. Well, I know a half is bigger than a quarter or a fourth, so I know that's going to be bigger than my fourth. So 3 1/4. Next, after 1/4, which is smaller, 1/2 or 3/4? It would be 1/2. So 3.5, and then 3 3/4. All right, and now I've done all my 3s. Now I'm gonna look at my 4s. I see a 4 by itself over here. So 4. And now I'm gonna look for the next smallest 4. I know 1/4 is the smallest fraction we have. So 4 and 1/4. And then 1/2. So 4 and 1/2. And then 3/4. So 4 and 3/4. And I've got one number left, and that is my 5. So what is the smallest number on my chart here? It is 2 and 3/4. What is the greatest number on my chart? All the way on the other end of my number list, it is 5. All right. So if you got smallest as 2 and 3/4, give it a tick. If you got the greatest as 5, give that a tick too. Well done, grade 3s. We've done our application problem. Now we're ready to get out our math journals, and we're going to get ready for our concept development. I'm going to give you a minute just to make sure you're ready with your math journal, your date at the top, and your pencil ready to go. Push play when you're done. All right, we are ready to do our learning. Well done, grade 3s. So today we are learning I can represent measurement data with line plots. Now we know that line plots are the little X's that we put above a number on a number line to show how many things were that length. So if something was 3 inches long, or if 5 things were 3 inches long, how many X's would I put above the 3 in my number line that's showing me inches? I'd put 5 little X's above it. All right, so let's go through. We know what we need already. Oh, and there's all our fluency. Oopsie. Let me see if I can fix that. All right, so grade 3s, in your journals, please go ahead and draw your number line. It looks just like this one. All right, I'm sorry, I couldn't keep it in full screen because I can't write on that, but I can write on it here. You might just have to squint a bit to see it. All right, so we're going to be counting by halves, and we're going to start off with 1/2. What comes after 1/2? 2 halves. Remember, our number 2 in the denominator at the bottom shows us a half. 3 halves. 4 halves. 5 halves. And I hope your handwriting is neater than mine is on here. 6 halves. Count it with me. 7 halves. That's a sloppy 2. 8 halves. 9 halves. 10 halves. 11 halves. And 12 halves. All right. Good work, everybody. We've gone through and we've found all our halves. Now we're going to label our whole numbers. Remember, our whole is when the top and the bottom number is the same or a multiple of them. So what's our first whole here? That would be 2 out of 2. That's a whole. What's the next multiple of 2? We can count by 2s. 2. That would be 4 out of 2. What's the next one? 2, 4. We can divide 6 by 2. So 6 out of 2. 2, 4, 6. I'm beginning to see a pattern here. 8 out of 2. 10 out of 2. And 12 out of 2. Now, if you remember your fractions, what does the line in a fraction mean? It means divide, right? Because a fraction is really just like a divide symbol with a number at the top and a number at the bottom. And we divide the top number by the bottom number. So let's go through and label our wholes at the bottom. 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's 1 whole. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's 2 wholes. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's 3 wholes. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 wholes. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 wholes. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 wholes. All right, well done, grade 3s. Make sure you've got your number line written. And in just a second, we're going to go and we're going to be doing our halves and our fourths. All right, we're ready to count by fourths on this number line. So let's get started. Please count it with me and I'll label it on our screen. So we always start with 1/4. There we go. 2/4. 3/4. I'm sorry, it's so sloppy. 4/4. 5/4. 6/4. If you need to go ahead and finish the rest of your number line, you might be faster than I am. 7/4. 8/4. 9/4. 10/4. 11/4. And 12/4. Well done to everyone who labeled your number line right. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to find our wholes. Remember, our whole is always when the same number is at the top and the bottom. So with fourths, our first whole would be 4/4. And our whole is any other number that we can divide by 4. Or we can just count by 4s to find our numerator up at the top. So 5, can we divide 5 by 4? Can we multiply 4 to make 5? Nope. Can we multiply 4 to make 6? Nope. Can we multiply 4 to make 7? Nope. Can we multiply 4 to make 8? Yes, we can. 4 times 2 is 8. Can we multiply 4 to make 9? Nope. Can we multiply 4 to make 10? Nope. Can we multiply 4 to make 11? Definitely not. Can we multiply 4 to make 12? Yes, we can. 4 times 3 is 12. And let's go ahead and let's label our wholes here. We've got whole number 1, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, or 4 times 1 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 2 times 4 is 8. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 3 times 4 is 12. All right, so now we've labeled all our wholes. Fantastic, everybody. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to make this a little bit trickier, because I know we're the smartest grade 3s, and we're going to be counting by halves on our number line. All right, remember though, when we count by halves, how many, we already know where our wholes are, right? We've got 3 wholes, but should we be counting every line as a half, or only, let's start with our wholes. So the first whole for a half would be what? It would be 2/2. The next whole would be 2, 3, because 2 times 2, oopsie, we'd say 4. How do I erase this? Oopsie daisy. There we go. I'm sorry about that. All right, our next whole would be 2 times 2 is 4. 4/2. And our next one, 3 times 2, because we're counting by halves, sorry. would be 6 halves. There we go. All right, now we need to find the middle lines. So we know we've got the middle line. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 little lines in each hole. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So every 2 lines, we're going to write a half. So 1 half, misalign, 2 halves, misalign, 3 halves, misalign, 4 halves. Whoops, my half is hard to write on here. Misalign, 5 halves. And misalign, 6 halves. All right, there we go. We've still got our holes in the same places. 2 out of 2, 4 out of 2, and 6 out of 2. Good work, grade 3s. I know we all remember that from our fractions time. All right, let's go forward and let's get ready to do our concept development. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to use the measurement data from our application problem. And we're going to use it to make a line plot. Now remember, the first thing we do when we make a line plot is we do our number line. And we already know our smallest measurement because we did that in our application problems. So we know that 2 3/4 is the smallest number. And we know that, here we go, I'll circle it for us. And we know that 5 is the biggest number. So let's think about what we are counting by. What fraction are we counting by here? What is the fraction? Oopsie. What is the fraction that we're counting by? What's the smallest fraction that we saw? Well, we saw 3 fractions, didn't we? We saw 1/4 or 1/4. We saw 1/2, and we saw 3/4, just like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to our number line up here. Excuse me. And I'm going to use pink. I hope pink shows up. And 1/4 was over here. 1/2 was over here. And 3/4 was over here. So what's the smallest fraction that we had between those 3? It would be 1/4. So we should be counting by 1/4 on our number line. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to think about how many line plots we need on our number line. We're gonna count from by fourths from 2 3/4 all the way to 5. So let's go ahead, we're gonna count it together. There we go. And we're gonna start at 2 3/4. The next number, 2 3/4 plus 1/4 is 3. 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, 4. 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/4, 5. So all together we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces on our number line. But I didn't include 2 3/4, so we're gonna start off with that because we always have our starting number. So we need 10 lines on our number line. All right, I'm gonna give you a chance quickly to go ahead and draw a number line. Make sure you have 10 plot lines on it, 10 points on it. All right, when you're done drawing your number line, you can push play. All right, we should all have a beautiful number line like this. And the next thing we need to do is we need to label each of our little lines. So we're gonna start off with our first line, and I'm gonna put my numbers underneath. Why do you think we're writing our numbers underneath and not on top? Well, that's because we're going to be putting our little X's on top. So we're gonna put our numbers underneath. And we're gonna start with our smallest number. Our smallest number was 2 3/4. So I'm gonna label that as my first line here, 2 3/4. And we know that our last number, our greatest number, was 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna label my last line here as a 5. All right, I'm gonna give you a chance to pause this video and go ahead and fill in the rest of the numbers underneath your marks on your number line. When you're finished that, push play and we'll check our number lines. All right, welcome back, grade 3s. Your number line should be finished and it should look like this. 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, 4, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/4, and 5. If you haven't labeled it correctly, go ahead now and label your number line properly. Remember, you can always pause the video if you need to make sure you're doing it properly. All right, what we are going to do is we are going to start finding out how many X's we need above each number. So I'm gonna go back, here we are, to our list of lengths of straws. And I'm gonna start with, we can pretty much start with any, so let's start with 3. How many 3s can you see here just by themselves? Oh, there's 1 3, and I'm gonna cross it out and count it. 1, here's another one, 2. So there are 2 3s. So that means how many X's do you think I should be putting above my number line at the 3? I'm gonna put 2 X's above the 3. 1 and 2. There we are. All right, let's head back. Our next number is 4. I see 1 4. How many more 4s? Oop, there's a 4, 2 4s. Here's another one, 3 4s. There are 3 4s. So how many X's should I put above the number 4 over here? I'm gonna put 3 X's because there are 3 4s in the list of Mr. Hans' class chart. 1 2 3 4s. All right, let's go back. What's our next number? 4 1/2. So there's 1 4 1/2. Here's another one, 2, 3, and that's it. So let's go back. How many X's should I put above, above 4 1/2? I should put 3 X's. So 1 X, 2 X, 3 X's. All right, let's go back to our next number, 2 3/4. So I'm gonna cross it out. 1, don't see any more, so just 1. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put how many X's above 2 3/4? I'm gonna put 1 X because there's only one measurement of that. All right, let's see what's next. 3 3/4. There's 1, 2, just 2. So how many X's am I gonna put above 3 3/4 here? 2 X's. 1 and 2. Let's go back. 3 1/4. There's 1, 2. So just 2 for that one. So 3 1/4, I'm gonna put 2 X's above that number there. 2 lovely little X's. There we go. Let's go find the next one. 4 3/4. So there's 1. There's 2. Just 2. So I'm gonna put 2 X's above 4 3/4. Here it is. Make sure you're putting the X's above the right numbers, the number that you were counting up and crossing out. Our next number is 4 1/4. So there's 1 and 2. So 2 for 4 and 1/4. There we are, 1 and 2. Lovely work. All right, let's go to our chart again. 5. There's 1 5. There's 2 5s. So I'm going to put how many x's above my 5? 2 x's above my 5. There we go. Our next one, 3 and 1/2. I'm going to count them up. 1. And I think that's it. So 3 and 1/2 gets 1. All right. So now we've labeled our number line with our line plots. I want to make sure that I didn't miss any numbers though. So I'm going to double check, making sure that I haven't got any numbers I didn't cross out. It looks like I crossed them all out. And I'm going to count up all my x's to make sure I have 20 x's, because I know there were 20 straws in Mr. Hand's class. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we've numbered and labeled our line plots and our number line correctly. All right, now though, I need to do a few more things for my line plots and my number line. The first thing I need to do is I need to give it a title. Now this was kind of easy for us because they gave us a title in the application problem. So have a look in your application problem. What is the title of the chart? It says straw lengths. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to label this as straw lengths. All right. And then I need to also say what I'm measuring at the bottom. What do these numbers at the bottom mean? We have to say that. So what do the measurements show us? Each measurement shows us what at the bottom? Have a think. What are we measuring in? Each measurement is measuring in inches, because that each number shows us how many inches long the straw is. And now I need to do one more thing. I need to say what an X means. I'm going to put it up here because there's not much room, but you could also put it underneath. What does each X show us? Each X shows us what? What information does each X show us here? Is it one hamster, one goldfish? What are we measuring? It's one straw. So each X equals one straw. There you go. Oh, that should be an equal sign, shouldn't it? There we are. And now we've made our number line. We found our line plots. We put them on our chart. We labeled our chart. We gave it a title, straw length. We told us what the numbers mean. They mean the inches. And we said what each X means, a straw. All right, good work. I'm going to go to our next page quickly to see if we can double check. Let's see, how did we do? That looks just like our perfect line plot. All right, so now I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to look at the questions. And we are going to try to use the line plot. I just used the line plot they gave us because it's smaller than mine. And we're going to answer the question. So the first question says, how many straws were at least, let's say, 4 inches tall? Now, at least means everything that is 4 inches tall or more. At least means a certain length or more. So I'm going to start at 4 and I'm going to count all the X's above that 4 up. So let's count it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there were 12 straws that were at least 4 inches tall. The next one, how many straws were taller or shorter than, let's say 3 3/4 inches. All right, so I need to give two numbers here. I need to give one number to say how many were taller and one number to say how many were shorter. So I'm just going to quickly do this. You can write it out a bit more neatly. Let's see how many were taller than 3 3/4 inches. Do I want to include 3 3/4 inches if I'm talking about things that are taller than that? No, I just want them that are bigger than 3 3/4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 straws are taller than 3 3/4 inches. Now, how many are shorter than 3 3/4 inches? Do I want to include 3 3/4 inches if I'm asking for things shorter? No, I don't. So let's go ahead and count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to stop because I don't want to count 3 3/4 inches. There we go. 6 are shorter. Next, which measurements happen the most and the least frequently? So I'm going to have to say which ones were the most frequent and which ones were the least frequent. So let's look. Most means which measurements at the bottom had the most X's. Well, I know 4 1/2 had 3 X's. And I know 4 also had 3 X's. So I could say 4 1/2 were the most. No other straw length has the same or more X's. I'm going to put my comma. And what about the one that was the least? That means which one had the fewest X's? Well, that's 2 3/4 down here. They only had 1. And 3 2/4. What's another word for 3 2/4? 3 1/2. So we could say 2 3/4 and 2 1/2 were the least because they both only had 1 straw and 1 X. Remember, if you need to, one of the best things you can always do is just go ahead and write your little numbers up above your your line plots, telling us how many are in each column there. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. All these little 2's need to be filled in. All right, well done, grade 3s. What you're going to be doing for your independent work is you are going to be turning the page in your Learn books. And here we go. And you are going to be doing page 235, 236 by yourselves. See if you can check them. I know that when you meet with your teachers, we will be going over our answers and we'll be doing our extra tickets together in our Zoom groups. All right, keep up the good work. Make sure you're doing your work accurately, please. Make sure you're counting carefully. You have scrap paper if you need it. Please use it. All right, don't forget things like giving the title, labeling what each of these numbers means, and saying what the X means. What is an X showing us in this chart? On the back, you're going to be answering questions using your number line and your line plots. All right, I know you can do this. You are great at math. Keep it up. Double check your work, please. If you get stuck, give it a try, because that way when you meet with your teachers on Zoom, we can still help you out. All right, grade 3s, I look forward to seeing you a bit later. I know Miss Ottinger looks forward to seeing you too. Keep up the fantastic work, and off you go. See you tomorrow.